Hey, GAT students, this is video notes for basic algebra review, objectives 14 through 16. So if you don't have your packet, hit pause, go grab that. When you have your packet, open to this page. Today we're going to be looking at different types of two-step equations and solving those. So we're going to be jumping around a little bit because I'm going to do the more basic ones first. So we'll be going back and forth a little bit. First of all, just a little thing of notes here. Let me see, I'm going to put right in here. To solve, now with two steps, okay, you have to kind of know which one to do first. So to solve two steps equations, this will be very short. To solve or what we say undo to the variables, you're going to perform the order of operations in reverse. Now with this section, we're not going to be having parentheses and exponents and things like that. So you're just going to have adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. So regular order of operations, you do multiplication and division before addition and subtraction. So when we do these in reverse, we're going to undo addition or subtraction, then undo multiplication or division. Okay, so let's take a look at some problems. There'll be ones that range from pretty easy to slightly more complicated, but I think they're all doable. So we're going to start with number 71 here. So I'm just going to first of all copy the problem. Now these are the ones with no fractions or not word problems. Make sure you follow the steps and get these ones correct when you get to the test. Okay, so what I said, you got to get the x by itself. So what I said above there was undo the addition and subtraction first, then you're going to undo multiplication or division. So what you want to get rid of, look at the side with the variable, and we want to get rid of this 7 and this 5 to get the x by itself. So first we're going to undo subtraction or addition. So this is a -7, so we want to undo that or get rid of it by adding 7 to both sides. We still have this 5x over here. These cancel out. 23 plus 7 is 30. Now you might be able to look at this and solve this because it just says 5 times what is 30. Otherwise, x is being multiplied by 5. So to undo that, we divide by 5. These cancel out. 30 divided by 5 is 6. Okay. Now just like always, if something goes too fast, rewind it, watch it again. If you still don't understand it, maybe circle the problem and then write me a message afterwards, ask the question. I can either go over it again with you on a video chat, or I can make another video. Whatever's going to work best. Okay. All right, we will do more on this page, but I'm going to kind of do them in order of difficulties. So we're going to flip page and go down to number 78. Okay, so again, I'm going to copy it first. It's basically the same thing, but just it has more negatives and stuff, so I just want to go over one and make sure you got this down. So again, find the side with the x. We want to get rid of this -3 and the -6. So we get rid of the one right next to it, we get rid of last. We want to get rid of this -6 first. So the opposite of -6 is +6. These cancel out. We're still left with -3x on this side. Bring down the equal sign. -12 plus 6. Now you could use your calculator for that. Otherwise, you have 12 negatives, 6 positives, so you have 6 more negatives. That's a negative 6. Okay, again, you might be able to solve this by looking at it. Otherwise, x is being multiplied by negative 3, so the opposite of that is divide by negative 3. These cancel out. We get x equals a negative divided by negative is a positive, and it's a positive 2. Okay. So 1 or 2 more like that. Let's look at number 79. This one's not any harder. I just want to do this one because it's kind of in a different order. And sometimes people get confused with that. They get used to seeing everything the same. So 2 things are different here. The x is on the right side. So that means we want to get rid of this 5 and the 25. And then a lot of times the x comes first and then it's either plus or minus something else. Well, here we have our constant or whole number and then plus the term with the variable. So you got to be careful here. You're not going to minus, because what I had said is you get rid of undo the addition or subtraction first. Well, the addition or subtraction is actually this 25 here, even though it looks like it's plus 5x. Whatever's next to that x, you want to get rid of last. So we want to get rid of this 25. Okay. At this time, this sign really doesn't mean anything. We want to get rid of a positive 25. So to do that, we want to get that to 0 by subtracting 25. And if we do it to one side, we have to do it to the other side. Okay? Because now 25 minus 25 is 0. And now we're left with just the 5x. Here we have 15 minus 25. So again, you could use your calculator, or you have 15 positive, 25 negative, and that gives you 10 more negative. Okay. Then x is being multiplied by 5. So we are going to divide by 5. These cancel out. We get x. Negative 10 divided by 5 is negative 2. Okay. All right. So now let's go. We got one more, and then we're going to start looking at some fractions and decimals. So we're going to flip the page, a couple pages, go to number 88. I just want to do this one because it's just kind of written a little differently. Negative 5x plus a negative 15. I'm going to write it like this. They use the parentheses. It's the same thing. 25. So again, x is on this side, so we eventually want to get rid of this negative 5 and the negative 15. One right next to the x is what we get rid of last. So we want to get rid of this negative 15. Okay. So you could look at this and say, well, it's plus negative 15. So the opposite of that is minus a negative 15. But then and you could do that. That gets complicated. Otherwise, you can just think, how do I get negative 15 to 0? Well, you do that by adding 15. Which if you were thinking minus a negative 15, that's the same thing. Minus a negative is same as plus a positive. So, but if all that was a little confusing, just think you have negative 15 and you want that gone. You want to get it to 0. So you're going to add 15. Negative 15 plus 15 is 0. Whatever you do on one side, you have to do on the other side. So these cancel out now. So you're left with the negative 5x. 25 plus 15 is 40. Okay. Then x is being multiplied by negative 5, so we're going to divide. Okay, these cancel out, so we get x. 40 divided by negative 5 is negative 8. So answer is letter A. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go back to that first page of this section. We're going to start looking at fractions. Now again, a lot of people don't like working with fractions. So we're going to do, there's 2 ways of solving this. One, if you're good with fractions, you would just leave them as fractions and follow the same steps we did. I'm gonna, just to save time, I'm gonna skip over that. If you want to see how to do these, leaving them as fractions, let me know, and I will do some problems on a separate video and get those to you. Okay. Otherwise, what we are gonna do, because a lot of people don't like the fractions, we're going to save time. If you know fractions, fractions are faster. Otherwise, we're going to do this. We're going to change those fractions to decimals. So we get negative 9x plus, now you take your calculator, you would type in 7 divided by 12. Now I'm not going to do this in all problems, but just to show you, 7 divided by 12. You get 0.58333333. Okay, so to write that in a short way, remember, you don't have to write out all those threes, just put that line over the 3. So that means 0.58333333 equals, hit in 3 divided by 4 on your calculator, that's 0.75. Now we're going to do the exact same steps we're just doing on the other problems. Okay, so we want to get rid of this first. X is on the left side. We're going to get rid of this negative 9 last. So we're going to subtract 0.583 repeating. And we got to do that on both sides. Okay, so on this side we'll get negative 9x. So over here, let's go to the calculator now. So you're going to take 0.75 minus, now don't just do 0.583 and stop. You have to do a bunch of these. Now in your calculator, you're probably done right there. I'm just going to fill in a whole bunch here. All right, so we end up getting 0.16, and don't worry about that last 7, it's just rounding off. So it's going to equal 0.16 repeating. Okay, now x is being multiplied by negative 9, so we divide by negative 9 on both sides. So we get x equals, so if I go back to my calculator here, I have this on my screen, I can just leave that there. Now I need to divide by a negative 9. So divide by 9 negative. And now this looks like it might just be a bunch of numbers, but it's actually, if I go back to that, it's 0.0, and then 185, 185, 185, 185, 185, and so on. And that's kind of, with your calculator would end there. This is kind of rounding off on the end here because we had all those 3s before, or all those 6s in the 0.16 repeating. So it actually is going to be 0, 185, and that 185 keeps repeating. So now when you get to this point, because we did it in decimals, but the answers are in fractions, we have to look at, well, which one is this? Okay, well, if we're confident our answer is negative, we can take these 2 out because those are positive. So now we have to look at which one of these it is. So here, negative 4/27, here, negative 1/54. So if I did 4 divided by 27, that gives us a negative 0.148 repeating. So it doesn't look like that's the answer, unless we ended up doing something wrong over here. But let's check the top one. Right here. And we're going to go negative 1/54. So we can just go 1 divided by 54 equals, and there it is, what we had here. So letter A. Okay. All right. So now let's go number 74. And do the next problem. So here there's probably actually is two ways of doing this one because the fraction here is different than the fraction last problem. We're not going to be adding or subtracting fractions. So let's start. I'll do it two ways. So hopefully a lot of these steps are the same whether you have fractions or not. So hopefully we're getting used to this. The y is on this side. This we get rid of last. We want to get rid of this minus 8. So to do that, we add 8. So we're left with 6/5 y. These cancel out. 4 plus 8 is 12. Okay. So the one way to do this is if we have y times a fraction, you're going to multiply by the reciprocal, meaning times 5/6. And we do that on both sides. So these cancel out. We're left with just y. On this side, remember, if we're multiplying by a whole number, we can make that a fraction just by putting 1 underneath. Now, if you know how to cancel out and do stuff like that, you can do that and make the multiplication easier. Otherwise, multiply across the top. 12 times 5 is 60. 1 times 6 is 6. Divide that out. 60 divided by 6 is 10. So our answer is 10. The other way, even though the fractions in this problem aren't too hard, if you didn't want to do it with fractions, you could redo this problem and say, I want to get rid of this right away. So I'm going to take top divided by bottom. 6 divided by 5 is 1.2. All the steps would be the same. Whoops. I don't need to rewrite that yet. So I add 8, add 8. So you get 1.2y equals 12. Y is being multiplied by 1.2. Divide each side by 1.2. These cancel out. You get y equals 12 divided by 1.2 is 10. Okay. So that was 74. We only have one more like this to do before we start looking at some word problems. So we got to flip quite a ways. Number 92. Okay. So this one's not really written as a fraction, so I don't think you need to rewrite things. So let's start off like we would before. 4 is closer to x, so we're going to get rid of that last. We want to get rid of this -2. This sign doesn't really matter right now. We want to get rid of a -2, so we are going to add 2 to both sides. So here we get 5. These cancel out, and we're left with a minus x over 4. So what I'm going to do, whenever there's a minus x or a minus in front of something like this, you can leave the negative up front, or you can put it with either the top or the bottom. So because I want to get x by itself, I'm going to put that negative with the bottom. Okay? And the reason I did that is because I want x by itself, not a negative x. Now x is being divided by -4, so the opposite of that is multiplying by -4. So this side, these cancel out, you get x. This side, this says -4 times 5. That gives you -20. And there's your answer. Okay, 4 problems ago. Went all the way back to that first page again. And the word problems in this aren't too involved. So we'll just look at how to write them out and then solve them. Okay. Number 72 says Debbie's age is 36, which is 30 more than 6 times Mickey's age. How old is Mickey? Okay, so first of all, I'm going to kind of write out this sentence in numbers. So she's 36. So 36, which is, so is means equals. 30 more than means I'm going to add 30 to something. And it's 30 more than 6 times Mickey's age. 6 times Mickey's age, which we don't know. That's what we're looking for. So that's why that's a variable. So that's kind of the first key, is to set it up like that. And we'll look at another one like that, just kind of make sure you're setting that up right. So again, they say Debbie's age is 36. We don't need a variable for that because it is her age. So that's 36. It says, which is equals 30 more than, meaning we add 30 to something. And that something we're adding to is 6 times Mickey's age, so 6m. Okay, so now just again review, solving, the m's on the right side. We want to get rid of the 30 and the 6. Because the 6 is right next to it, we get rid of that last. We want to get rid of a plus 30. So we're going to minus 30. 36 minus 30 is 6. We still have the 6m over here. These cancel out. So now you could look at this and probably know the answer, because it's saying 6 times what is 6. If not, you divide each side by 6 and you get m equals 1. 6 divided by 6 is 1. Okay, and there's your answer. Okay, 3 to go. 75. I want to see if I want to do that one last. I'm going to do 81 first, and then we're going to go back and look at the money one. So there's other age ones like this. You just follow the one we just did. Follow those same steps. This one's going to be pretty similar. 81. It says when the product of -9 and a number. So product means multiplication. So -9 and a number means, because they said product, means -9 times a number, is increased by, so it means plus, by 7. So, and I'm not going to do another one, but just so you know, if they said a quotient of -9 a number, that would be like -9 divided by x, or if they said quotient of x, or of a number and -9, that would mean you would put x over -9, because quotient means divide. If this said decreased, this would be a minus instead of a plus. So anyways, it says product of -9 and a number, -9 times x, is increased by 7, so plus 7. The result is, means equals 14. So that's how you'd set that up. Okay. Okay, so this next number, we're not going to do this one, but very similar down here. Okay. So now again, I'll probably don't need to do this, but we'll finish this one off just because it's just always a good review on how to solve once you get this set up. So we're going to subtract 7 from both sides. Those cancel out. -9x equals 14 minus 7 is 7. Okay. Now, x is being multiplied by -9, so we're going to divide by -9. And those cancel out, so we're left with x. And now you could just leave it like this, or what they would technically do is when one of the numbers is negative, they'll throw it out in front and keep it as a fraction. It should be right there. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go back to 75. We got 2 left to do. And they get these would be probably the hardest ones you're going to see on this section, just because it can get a little confusing. But not that you would do these specific problems, but have a little bit more real life. If you get real life application, if you get into business type stuff, and again, if you're doing the test, really work hard on the other problems we've done, get those right, and just see how you do on these. Okay. So it says Kevin has $7.70 in nickels and quarters. He has twice as many quarters as nickels. How many nickels and how many quarters does he have? Now, especially since it's multiple choice, you could kind of go through and guess and check these. And, the last resort would be figure out, okay, 14 nickels times 5 cents, that's how much money, 28 quarters times 25 cents, how much money, and then add it up and see if it works. You could do that. Okay, I'm going to show you how you can do it a little faster if you understand how this is set up. So we have $7.70. The way we get that is we take 25 cents times the number of quarters, which we don't know, and we're going to add 0.05 because times the number of nickels, because the reason we do this is because nickels are 5 cents, quarters are 25 cents. So if we had 4 quarters, we'd multiply it by 25 cents. It gives us $1. If we had 10 nickels times 5 cents, that would be 50 cents. Okay. But now to solve, we can't have two different variables. There's no way to solve. So this sentence is the key. He has twice as many quarters as nickels. So he has the double amount of quarters. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this 0.25, and instead of saying it's quarters, the number of quarters we have is twice as many as the number of nickels. So we're going to put 2n in here. And then we still have this over here. So now this gets a little complicated. Now we multiply these. Okay, so 2n, so 2 times 0.25 is 0.5 or 0.50, and then times the n. So this times this gives us this. We still have here, so now we're going to combine like terms. So 0.50n plus 0.05n means 0.55n. Okay, now to solve, you divide by 0.55, and we get n equals 14. Okay, so now if we look here, if we really think we did that right, only one of these answers has 14 listed as nickels, so this probably should be. Otherwise, the last step to do this to figure out, well, how many quarters should it be? Like if there was two choices that had 14 nickels and different amount of quarters, we would just look at the sentence again. It says they have twice as many quarters as nickels. So which was right here, 2n. So if there's 14, so that means the quarters again was 2n. Okay, so if there was 14 nickels, 2 times 14 means there's 28 quarters. And there we go. Okay. All right, we'll do one more of those. Just make sure you got it down. Now again, you kind of could use the guess and check method on those dealing with money. But I'll do 80 just because it's a little different because it uses different coins. So again, they have $3.72 in pennies and dimes. So that means pennies, we're going to take 0.01 times the number of pennies. And then we're going to add dimes as 0.10 times the number of dimes. So the key here is she has 3 times as many dimes as pennies. Okay, so the number of dimes is 3 times the number of pennies. Okay, because it says she has 3 times as many dimes as pennies. So if she had 10 pennies, she'd have 30 dimes. Okay, so now we're going to reset or rewrite this. We'd have 0.01 times P plus 0.10 times D, which is 3P. I'm going to keep bringing this down. 0.01P plus, now we're going to take 0.1 times 3, which is 0.30P. Add them, they're like terms now, they're both P, so we can add those up. 0.01 plus 0.30 is 0.31. So now we divide, find out what that is. These cancel out. We get, oops, that shouldn't be a P there. Those cancel out. We're left with just P. 3.72 divided by 0.31 is 12. So we have 12 pennies. So again, because there's only one choice with that, that should be the right answer. But if not, we plug it in up here. It says number of dimes was 3 times the number of pennies, which we say is 12. So D equals 36, which it is. Okay, so again, there's some there that can be a little more complicated. If you're not understanding them, ask questions. Try some of these other problems. Check the answers in the back. There are some in here that I didn't do the ones that are just decimals because you do them just the same way and you can use your calculator. So I skipped some of those just to save on some time. All right, so the ones we did, I'll go through and circle. We did 71, 78, 79, 88. We went to 70, 74, all the way down 92. Where did that one go? Oh, there. And 72. 75, 80, and 81. Okay. So again, when you're trying some other problems, check your answers. If you're not getting the right answer, see if you understand how they got the right answer. If not, check one of these circled ones to look for an example. And if you're still not getting it, ask me a question. We can either do a video chat or we can, I can make a separate video. So get those notes copied, send me the pics, and then prepare for the test.